Hello there my lovely fellow crafters, it's Terri here for Fairy Stamper. Today I am going to be playing with some stamps that I haven't played with before. So these two are from the June release, I think. So we've got the gorgeous little, what's her name? Fifi. Who you can have either blowing bubbles or blowing little dandelions. And then we've got this gorgeous large dandelion. And then we've got the lovely fairy house. So I've cut down a card panel, which is 5x7. I've been arranging the acetates on the panel in order to plan out where I want things and to check sizing and stuff like that. So today I sat down and I was having a look through my lovely collection of Fairy Hugs stamps, and I was really drawn to these three. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to stamp them in a very light coloured ink. So I've chosen Nuvo Hybrid Ink Pad in Marble Statue, which is a very pale grey. And I'm going to do that because it's my intention to colour in the background and colour in the images, and I'm going to have it as a daytime scene. So I'm probably going to use a cloud stencil and stencil, you know, like a nice fluffy white clouds with a nice blue background. So I am going to now stamp these images. So I'm going to do them one by one. So it's best to do the biggest one first, I think. So I'm going to do the fairy house. Now I haven't used any of these stamps yet, so they are all going to be brand new, and they're going to be very sticky, and they're going to want to try and move my card panel around. So I've made sure that I've pushed it right to the edge of my stamping platform. I'm just going to make sure that I keep it there. I absolutely love colouring. I just really love it in all different mediums. So this is like such a lovely sort of project for me to do. I'm just priming the stamp a little bit by rubbing over it with a dry finger. This is a tip that I picked up from watching many YouTube videos, which I tend to find works well for me in just helping that initial stamp lay down a little bit better. But as I said, it doesn't have to be a perfect stamp for this, because it's essentially doing sort of no line colouring, and I might even do some heat embossing. I was already thinking of sort of maybe heat embossing Fifi in maybe in silver. This is my third video now for Fairy Stamper, and I'm absolutely loving it because the products are absolutely lovely. So high quality, so detailed, just such a real joy to work with. So that first stamp ended up being quite patchy. I know I said it doesn't have to be perfect, but I need more ink on it than that. So I'm going to do a second go over. Okay, that's a bit better. I still think we can go with one more go because I know that it's going to dry really pale. There we go, that's a lot better. So obviously it's not perfect, but that's going to be enough for me so that I can see everything. Okay, so I'm pleased with the way that's stamped. It's going to be easy enough for me to colour over that because it's so light. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm just going to check which way. Yeah, it is that way. Okay, so where do I want my dandelion to be? I think here will be nice. If you've never tried this before, by the way, using acetate to plan out your cards, I'd highly recommend it because it's really handy. You'll have noticed I'm just moving my card panel up because sometimes the actual stamp goes off the page, so for this one I'm going to make sure that it's at 2 centimeters. I'm going to put a bit of scrap paper underneath to try and avoid getting my stamp platform all inky. So let's try that again. Apologies for any background noise. We're having a heat wave in the UK at the moment. I say heat wave because it's a heat wave for us, which means temperatures of like high 20s and low 30s, and I don't cope well with the heat. I don't really like it. I get very tired and I just don't really like it. So I know other people love the heat and cope with it really well, but I don't. So I've been doing a bit of thinking actually. I think I'm going to stamp the fairy and the dandelion in embossing powder. I'm going to emboss them. So I'm going to go over and stamp the dandelion in the same grey ink to start with, but then I'm going to add some Versamark ink pad to it, and I'm going to just check through. I think I might have like I'd love to use like a sparkly embossing powder. I'm not sure I've got one, but I'm not sure I've got a clear one. I know I've got one in like green, like a beautiful turquoise, but obviously that's not the same thing. So I'm going to clean that off, but I'm going to leave it in situ. So we'll put her here. And I'm going to have her blow in the dandelions because I think that's just going to be really cute. She is such a sweet little fairy. I'll just take this opportunity actually just to say, if this is your first visit to the Fairy Stamper Hugs YouTube page, and you like this kind of magical, mystical type of artwork and card making, if you haven't already subscribed, then I highly recommend you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because there's a whole team of us video design team members, and we post I think it's pretty much every day. You will get lots of inspiration if you do subscribe. You'll get a notification as soon as a new video is posted, and we also have a Fairy Stamper Hugs group, which I would encourage you to join on Facebook, and you're encouraged to post your makes there. You'll find it lovely and supportive. People are really kind and supportive, and you can actually use other products that aren't Fairy Stamper. So you're not limited, like lots of Facebook groups or crafting groups say that you only are allowed to use their own company's products, but with the Fairy Stamper Hugs group, Facebook group, it's not like that. You can use whatever you want. You know, the focus is on supporting each other and the community and things like that. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that. And also I have my own YouTube channel, and Facebook group and Instagram, so my details will be in the description box as well. So I'm going to leave the stamps exactly where they are, and you know, we can remember that I put it at 2 centimeters, and then I can set about working on colouring. So I'm just going to choose some colouring mediums, and then I'll be back in a mo. So I've pulled out my Ranger Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, as I'm going to use this cloud stencil and an Altenew mini ink cube in Caribbean Sky, and just ink blend some clouds. So we're aiming for a nice sort of like beautiful bright blue sky, so it's a sunny day, hence Fifi is sitting in front of her garden, in front of her lovely fairy house, just enjoying herself. I'm not going to make you watch all of this, obviously, because as you will know, ink blending, to get a nice ink blend, can take a while. So I'm going to continue on and just do this sort of around the house. So I'll see you back in a moment when the sky is complete. Okay, so I've chosen some initial colours. I'm going to use, just in case anyone's interested, G02 and 05 for the dandelion. And then for the leaves on the roof, I'm going to use YG41, BG23 and BG13, so like turquoisey greens. For the foliage, the leaves on the roof, and then for the actual stones on the house, I'm going to use E40, W3, 5 and 7. I'm also going to draw a little rock wall just going around this bit here, and then I'm going to start and do grass around here, and carry on like that. So I'm not, obviously Copic colouring takes a long time, and some people love to just sit and watch videos with lots of colouring in, but lots of people don't. So what I always try and do is just show you a little bit. So as I say, you saw me start off the top corner with the stenciling, and then now I've completed the sky. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of the colouring. I'll do this which is very small, and maybe a little bit of the leaves on there, but not too much at all, because otherwise the video will just go on for far too long, and that's not what we want. So I like to work with the lids off my markers so that I can just switch between them. So I'm using the lighter colour. Obviously this is a very thin line. But I'm pleased to see that it's covered over the grey of the stamping. That's really good. I can't actually see the detail of that too well, so it'll be good for me to refer back to the acetate to help me there. Okay. But because I can't see it, that means that other people won't be able to see it either. So it starts like, yeah, it's quite simple but pretty. And then, oh, actually I'll do that other leaf as well while I'm at it. Might have to do a few layers to make sure that I cover up the stamping and the ink blending underneath, but that's fine. Obviously with colouring with alcohol markers, you often have to do lots of layering anyway, which is completely fine. And it's nice, I think, to be able to see other ways to use these stamps rather than purely as silhouette stamps, because we know they work absolutely beautifully, being sort of black or dark colours against night skies and things like that, which is what I've done in my last few cards. But for this one, I just wanted to do something a bit different. So very much a sort of sunny day. probably influenced by the fact that, say, we're having this heat wave in the UK at the moment. So I'm just going to thicken up the lighter line on here. And then when I do the grass, I'm going to use different colours of green. When I usually colour grass, I do it in quite a few different greens, just using a gentle flicking motion, which tends to give a nice effect. Go in and do some leaf detail. This isn't coming up as dark as I would like it, so I'm going to refer back to my handy dandy colour chart. I think we're going to need some G07 I should say, to darken that up in the middle bit. G17, I think. Yeah, G17. It's looking better, isn't it? It's looking more leaf-like. I'm gonna have to go in again with the darkest one and layer that up a bit, but that's definitely more leaf-like than blob-like. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. This is card making, it's crafting, it's about having fun and you know, making things that are pleasing to the eye. You know, I think it's important to remember just to not get too hung up on being a perfectionist. I know that's something that I wrestle with, so you know, it is just about enjoying yourself and producing something that you're happy with. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm going to follow the same process for this one, where the leaf curls differently. And then this, once I've shown you this, I'll finish off with and do the rest of the colouring of the house off camera. Probably most of the colouring off camera, to be honest. And then I will come back on if there's something that I think, oh, you would really like to see that. You know, but obviously you don't want to sit here for an hour watching me colour this in. But it'd be great to let me know in the comments, like, what do you prefer? Like, do you prefer more time spent on watching, like, so that you can pick up tips? Or do you prefer, like, what I'm doing today and just showing you a little bit and giving you some sort of ideas and techniques and things? It'd be really helpful for me to know. And also just anything else that you'd like to see from the video design team, any particular like techniques or anything that you would like to see more of on the channel, just leave in the comments below and we'll try and accommodate where possible. Fabulous. Okie dokie. Right, so I'm going to turn the camera off and continue on with my colouring. See you in a little while. So here's a bit more of how I'm getting on, where I'm up to. You'll be able to see that this contraption that I've got, which is actually a board that's designed to be used in the kitchen, so you can stand up your recipe books, but I find that it's really good for colouring, so I tend to have it like that. So I've coloured all the leaves, and I'm really pleased with the way they turned out. And then I've just started colouring in the rocks. And then if you look here and here, you can see that I've just drawn with a pencil a very light, rough sort of stone wall. And I'm pretty sure that Fairy Stamper actually make a stone wall stamp, so it would have been perfect if I had that, but I don't. But I thought it would be nice, you know, to have a little bit of wall there. So I'm going to colour those in, again in grey, but using the cool greys and probably like a bluey violet as well, like to have like a bit of colour in there. So once I've finished this and this, obviously I've got to colour the door in a brownish colour, and then I think I'm going to do the door handle, the hinge and round here in gold, probably sparkly, and then I'm going to heat emboss our lovely Fifi and the dandelion head in silver. So we're progressing along quite nicely at the moment. So next time you see me, all the colouring will have been completed, and I'll show you the heat embossing in case you haven't done that before, and then we'll be nearly done. So I'll see you back in a bit. Right, so here we go, my friends. Progressed quite a bit now. So I have finished all of the colouring. I did the grass just using gentle flicking motions, and I've used a sparkle pen, a gold metallic gel pen on the little door handle and the hinge and the little stained glass window, and then I also used a pink gel pen just to outline the lovely pink flowers. And then can you see my big boo-boo? So as you might realise, it's the same colour as the flowers. So when it was just a pure accident. I accidentally just swiped across, and I tried to use my colourless blender to get rid of it, but it didn't work. So I told my husband, and I was like, so I'm going to have to, originally I was going to put the sentiment here, but actually it will work having it there. And then my husband said, he's ever so clever. He said, how about having like a little sign like stuck into the grass with that on? And I was like, what a brilliant idea. So that's completely going to solve my problem. So I've pulled out a pack of craft paper, and I've got loads of little scraps that I've kept because I don't know about you, but I always keep mine because they always come in for something. So I'm going to heat emboss that. Well, first of all, I'm going to do some like lines on it in browns, similar to this, so that it looks wooden, and then heat emboss it, and then just do a little post so it's stuck into the ground, so it'll end up around here. And our fairy, you can't really see her much at the moment, because what I've had to do is I've planned it out really carefully. There we go. When she's in situ, it's like she'll be perfectly, you know, there'll be nothing in the way, or nothing sort of poking through or anything like that. So, and I am going to have her blowing the little dandelions. So what I really would like, I would love to stamp her in a lovely sort of glittery embossing powder, but I don't have any in my stash, so I'm definitely going to have to put that on my wish list. But what I am going to use is this Nouveau silver embossing powder, because it's a tried and true one. I know that it always works well and gives really good detail. And then I've got this Wow metallic gold rich pale superfine, which I'm going to heat emboss onto the craft card. So that is the plan. So, first of all, and this is really, you know, just for people that haven't seen embossing techniques before, heat embossing. So you always need to prepare your panel with some sort of anti-static powder tool. I'm gonna stamp Fifi first, and then stamp the her blowing the dandelions after. And then once I've done that, then I'll make the sign and stick that on, and then come back and show you the finished card. So if you already are very familiar with heat embossing, you know, then feel free to skip forward a minute or so. It's not going to take long. Or I don't know about you, but I love every single time. It never gets old. It never gets boring. Seeing the change from having just the powder to having the heat embossed image, it never gets old. Now I've kept everything in the same position, and it looks like it's in the right position, but it's fine. Even if there's a slight like double stamp or something, it'll be fine, because I'll be able to go over that in a silver gel pen. So that'll be completely fine. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink pad. So there's a wide variety of companies that sell clear sticky ink pads for heat embossing, but I love Versamark. And I always like to make sure that I've inked it up really, really well. And I have got a Versamark pen as well, so if there's any of this that hasn't taken properly, then that's fine, because I can just go in and add some bits. Okie doke. So and to generously apply the powder. So I'm going to use a dry fine paintbrush to wipe away any areas that I don't want to be bright silver, because this looks quite dark, but it is actually very a beautiful bright colour. And then I tend to just funnel mine back into the pot straight away, and then close it, because we do have a little bit of time. Once the powder's stuck down, it's not really going to go anywhere. If you've ever dropped a pot of embossing powder, you'll know that you don't want to repeat that experience. So I don't need to tell you how I know that. Right, so I will have my heat gun heating up over there out of the way. Oh, and look at her sparkle. Doesn't that look beautiful? Wow, that's really pretty. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Obviously it's warped the paper a bit, but that does tend to happen when you're heat embossing things. But I'm really pleased with the way that's come out. Sometimes with heat embossing, it's not, you do get these like divoty bits where it's sort of they're like a bit lumpy, but that doesn't really bother me. So I'm now going to make my little sign. I'm going to colour in Fifi's wings and probably do a bit of gel pen, a sparkly gel pen around her, and then I'll see you in a moment with the finished card. And here we are, my friends, the finished card. I am really pleased with the way this has turned out. As you can see, we've got lots of lovely texture and shine and shimmer. I used my hubby's idea of making this little simple sign using some craft card and just doing some lines using some different brown coloured pens. And then he embossed the sentiment, which turned out really well. I think that looks really nice. It's really nice and shiny. I did actually go over Fifi's body a little bit actually with the Versamark pen, and it's just made it a bit smoother in those areas, which sort of gives her a bit more solidity actually. So I'm glad I did that. And then I used some of my coloured gel pens to add bits of sort of glitter and colour. And then around the whole of Fifi, I used the the Sakura jelly roll pen with the Stardust one. And I've put that all around and like in a few places inside the dandelion as well. So trying to give you up close angles from everywhere. This is a 5x7 card. I trimmed the panel down to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then I just cut the mat in between. So you've just got like that little black outline, which I really think it's little details like that make all the difference. I really do hope that you have enjoyed this video tutorial and maybe feel inspired if you haven't tried the no line colouring technique. It'd be wonderful to hear from you in the comments what you enjoyed about the video and what you think about the card. And just a reminder, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, just click the subscribe button and the little bell and you'll get notified as soon as any future videos are uploaded. And also another reminder to join the Fairy Stamper Hugs Facebook group to see lots more inspiration, both from the design team members and from your wonderful selves, because you are also talented as well and we love to see everyone's designs. So yeah, thanks for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see and speak to you soon with some more fairy crafty goodness. Bye for now.